Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. I'm here today with Mary Catherine Stahl, MK for short. Mary Catherine Stahl is a busy mom, wife, and multi-business owner. She has a love for health and fitness and inspires others to be the best versions of themselves. At the young age of 25, she started as a member at Fit Body Boot Camp, and it quickly became the best part of her day. At the time, she was working in an operations role at a real estate firm, which did not provide any sense of purpose. I'm sure some of you guys could relate to that today, working somewhere where you don't feel like you're uh, living up to your potential or your purpose. She used that passion and energy she felt at boot camp to open her own location in August 2017. In addition to owning 2 locations in July 2020, MK took over a failing Fit Body boot camp and grew it by 4 times of where it started in less than 2 years. Today, she is not only passionate about helping her clients, but also providing her team with opportunities to grow. MK attributes a lot of her success to building culture and community within her business. She believes building strong relationships is the key to having a successful business and team. MK grew her career and family together, 2 things that require a lot of time, something we can never seem to get enough of. Being a mom is her most important job title. Through balancing motherhood and work, excuse me, excuse me, though balancing motherhood and work seems almost impossible these days, MK prides herself on helping others move outside of their comfort zone at the gym and in all areas of life. MK also serves as the community manager for Fit Body Boot Camp franchise and is the host of the Beyond the Scale podcast. She is the voice of the people and the face of the organization. And today we talked a lot about establishing a positive mindset, how it's optimal for fitness, business, and health, working on balancing motherhood with work, career, with business, what the blueprint for that is, the importance of our community and our culture on our fitness journey, which that would equal support, and having some accountability, and also daily habits, routines, how consistency can bring us success in health and business and our fitness. This was so good. And then we talked about the early days of starting our businesses, some of our ideas, how we were aligned, and how starting out scrappy and small sure gives you a good story later. And it teaches you so much because you would have never been ready for the big dream. It would have felt insurmountable if you jumped into where you go. So start small, you can build was the message and the title for this podcast today. So without further ado, let's dive in with the one and only MK Stahl. I am very excited to have Mary Catherine Stahl on the Sisters of Sweat. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. You're a mom, a wife, a business owner. How did all this evolve?
Yeah, so I am a multi-Fit Body Boot Camp location owner. I started as a client at Fit Body Boot Camp 6 years ago, fell in love with the program. At the time, didn't know really what I wanted to do with my life. I was early on in my career, came home to my husband one day and I was like, I have a crazy idea. Let's open up our own Fit Body Boot Camp. And at first he was like, I don't know about that. And so we just kept looking into it. And I fell in love with not only the workout at Fit Body, but just the community and the culture. And it was the best part of my day every day. So I was like, okay, I want to make this the best part of other people's day. I think I could do this too. And so one thing led to the next, and we opened up our first Fit Body Boot Camp in 2017. And then A year later, I became pregnant with my first child, my daughter, who's 4.5 now. And then a few years after that, we decided to buy an existing Fit Body Bootcamp location. So we had another Fit Body location. And then a few months later, found out I was pregnant with my son. So we're growing our family and growing our business at the same time. And then just a few months ago, we opened up our third location with a partner who has been a coach with us for 3.5 years, an amazing coach. And she wanted to have her own location. And so we partnered up and we kind of do the operations together, but she's the face of the business in the studio. And so, yeah, here I am today, grow my family, grow my business at the same time. It's been a roller coaster of a journey, but a lot of fun. And I've learned a lot.
Well, how do you balance all that and change the blueprint now that you have a family and it's growing as well as your business? How are you balancing your work life with your family life?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I have to kind of get quiet with myself a lot during the week to just map out how I am managing it and what can I do to make it better. And so for me, delegating has been my number one resource right now that I'm trying to develop more as a leader, is delegating what needs to be done to the amazing team that I have. I'm so fortunate that I have hired some of the best coaches that treat our business like it was their own. And so they are very good at being the face of our business when we're not there, because the truth is, our coaches is what makes our business so great anyways. And yes, I may have started this organization, but over time it's evolved and they're now the new face of the location that they work in. So I think just delegating has become very important for me. And then remembering at the end of the day, like what my overall goals are right now and what my vision for the next year to 5 years looks like for me and my family. What it looked like 6 years ago is not what it looks like today. I had no idea how my life was going to change when I started adding kids to the mix. And so I think too, just trying to remember like what's really important to you and don't get so caught up in the small stuff. Like the little things that used to stress me out day one of our business no longer stress me out today, which I'm so happy about because that takes a long time to get to that point.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Not taking every little thing so serious when it happens.
Right.
And so moving yourself out of the way a little bit and putting people in, talk about that transition, because I have a lot of business owners, a lot of busy moms that listen to this show, and maybe you're used to being the go-to girl or the go-to person, and it's kind of letting go of ego a little bit, isn't it? When you start saying, okay, this person is taking these spots, I'm pulling back.
Definitely. My husband and I just had that conversation the other day. So, full transparency, when we opened up our second location and we were so heavily involved in that first location, we didn't know how to deal with that transition of we're no longer going to be in that first location as much as we used to. We're now going to be in this other location. We didn't know how to delegate those things to the coaches at that time. And we did not do the best job at it. And I think that when you start a business, especially a small business like we started, you develop this team with this vision in the beginning of you're going to be there and we're all in this journey together. And then as you grow as a business owner and your job's evolving and your, the goals for your life are evolving, you have to make sure that they understand where you're going. And we didn't do a good job of that. And so I think just if you change your course, if you change your blueprint, like you said, and you're no longer going to be a solo one business or one location owner, and you're going to go out and do other things. Many entrepreneurs, like they don't just do one thing. They have 5 different things going on at once. As long as you communicate that to your team, as long as you're communicating that to the people that are working for you and that you're surrounded with daily, then it's going to be okay. But communication is key. We had so much going on in here and not enough being vocalized that's where we ran into problems. And we have, of course, worked it out since then, but a lot of times with small business owners and entrepreneurs, it's like you just have so much going on in here and you don't know how to get it out. You don't know how to communicate what's going on. And so just getting that message across to your team has been like the number one thing that I have learned over the years. Just make sure the vision that you have for your life and your team, make sure that they know what that is and that they're on board.
So what kind of systems did you have to put in place to make it run smooth? Because you know what's in your head, but
Right.
nobody else knows what's in your head. And also, you know what you do as a daily task every day as a business owner, but the person that comes in doesn't know. So what are some of the transitions and some of the systems you put in place?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, one thing that we have loved over the last 2 years that have worked for our business is we transitioned away from having in the industry that we're in a fitness studio, a lot of the trainers historically are part-time employees. They may have other jobs or they're stay-at-home moms and they want to dip their toes into training. But what we have found over the last 2 years is full-time coaches work the best for our business because they are there all the time. They know all of the members that come into the studio. They know what's going on as an organization, and it's much easier to communicate with our full-time employees and have their full-time buy-in from them versus a part-time person who is only there part-time and really their effort is part-time as well. So one of the things that we implemented over the last year and a half is trying to transition more into the full-time employees because like I said, they're there all the time. Like they are fully committed to that one job. So that has helped a lot. Team meetings. I can't say this enough. Just having the consistency in your schedule every single week for that team meeting. We have one in our facilities. I'm not there all the time, but there is one person that leads this meeting. And no matter what, he is leading that meeting every Thursday at 1 p.m. And so that has been vital for our business and our growth and just having that constant communication each week. And then just being really transparent with the team. Again, business owners, entrepreneurs, we have a lot of stuff going on in here. And at times we feel that it all has to be figured out. The T's have to be crossed and, everything needs to be figured out before we tell everyone what's going on. But that's not always the way it should be. Sometimes I feel that if I'm developing a new idea or a new program, it actually is beneficial to get my team involved and make sure that I have their buy-in. Because what if I develop a new challenge or a new coaching program that I present and spend all this time on, but I don't have the support of my team? They're the ones that are in front of my clients every single day. They're the ones that get the constant feedback. So sometimes you need to take the feedback from your team before you can fully develop something. So I would say like those are my three that we have implemented in the last year and a half to 2 years that have helped us grow.
Do you still teach?
I do not. No. So I did about I'll step in like when needed, of course. Like I'll step in when needed, but I'm not on the schedule. Yeah.
Well, I think you find after a little while that you have to wear a whole lot of hats when you're running a business.
Oh,
And
definitely.
that's when you start realizing the beauty of delegation. But you did say a key word, commitment, and finding employees that are committed with full-time effort. And
Yes.
that really stood out to me. Now, I'm sure along the way, you've had some wrenches in the mix. How do we go about establishing today? And this is for people that would come to our boot camps and also just business owners in general, a positive mindset, um, so that our fitness runs smooth, our health runs smooth, our business runs smooth, everything runs smooth with the positive mindset.
Yeah. It's hard. I mean, in the world where we have so much noise from social media and we're just in that feedback culture in this industry where we're getting feedback from members, you're getting feedback from your other coaches that you're working with. And so in regards to our coaches and how we can develop their mindset and keep them in that positive mindset, one thing that we do say is we know that everyone has a life and not everything is sunshine and rainbows, but can you leave that at the door when you come into the studio? Because you are there to motivate. You are there to help Mrs. Jones, who may not be getting any attention at home. And this is the only 30 minutes that she has for herself today. And I want you to use all of your energy that you have inside of you to make her day great. I want her to leave here feeling her best self so that she can go out and achieve so many things in her life outside of boot camp. And that's the most important thing to me, is just anybody can be a coach, but it takes a very special person to make someone really feel like they're cared about and appreciated and heard, and that we really care about their success as not just their fitness and their health journey, but just their overall life. And so leaving your emotions, leaving what you have going on at the door to the best of your ability, like that's what we try to do. But then again, like, I don't want to dehumanize any of our coaches or dehumanize our workplace, because we all are going through struggles. It's just, how can we relate to our members, relate to our clients, but then relate to elevate where they're at. And that is always like my goal for our coaches, is just to make sure that you're radiating that positive energy when they come into the studio.
Well, I absolutely love that entire answer. And it's so true. It does take a special kind of person to come in, leaving all your problems at the door, and to realize that there are people that are coming, that you are their person in their corner. You're their cheerleader. You're their sound, maybe the ear that's going to
Right.
hear, and maybe they aren't getting that anywhere else, and you're the one person to be giving that day. And I love that whole analogy, to relate, to elevate, to just really give the kindness and the caring. And that's what Sisterhood of Sweat is all about. It's strong women empowering, achieving together is what the sweat stands for. And when I started it, I just really wanted it to be the soft place for women to be heard, seen, supported, and just have this community. And I see that you also value the importance of culture and community in your fitness journey. Tell us a little bit about how you have developed your culture and ways to build your community, because I think community is what makes it happen.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think when it comes to building your culture and community in any business, it's something that you continuously have to work at, because for us in the beginning, my husband and I did a lot of the day-to-day operations. I was coaching every new person that came through our doors. I knew who they were. I knew what their children's names were. I knew what was going on in their life. And then as we grew, 100 new people come in, we hire another coach. 100 more people come in, we hire another coach. And so the more members we had, the more coaches that we would have to hire. And slowly over time, I wasn't necessarily in that, role in the beginning where I knew everyone anymore. And so it was my job to explain to our coaches and show them the kind of culture that I wanted to build by teaching them what I did. And so that is very important. And of course, there have been hiccups in the process over the years. That's just what happens in business, where maybe we do have a new coach coming in and they don't understand the importance of culture and community. And that sometimes takes some coaching, especially younger employees in the industry that we're in. We do seem to attract 21 to 30-year-old coaches who don't have a lot of experience coaching. They don't have a lot of life experience in general. And so when it comes to relating to Mrs. Jones, who's 45 years old, and she's struggling with all of these things in her life that this coach can't relate to, how can we train them up to have that level of empathy and positivity like we talked about, so that we can build that strong culture and community of compassion and just letting our members know how much we do care about them and that we're here for them. And so I think it's just that constant communication, like I said. But then just a few things that we did to build the culture in our facility is we follow up with our members every week. So we run reports to see who's coming, who's not coming, because truthfully, we are a boutique fitness studio. And if you're not showing up, you're not getting the results. And we don't want that to happen. So there is a reason why you came through our doors. And we want to make sure we get to know you in the beginning. We get to know your why. And we're going to use that to follow up with you in the upcoming weeks if you're not showing up. Like if you tell me I'm here because I want to lose 40 pounds that I have been carrying around for the last 10 years after I, had my last child, then if you don't show up in 3 weeks, I'm going to have notes in your profile that say why you're coming, because I had a meeting with you before you even started boot camp. I know your why. And I'm going to say, hey, Linda, I know you want to lose those 40 pounds. Let me help you. What's going on? What do we need to do to get you in here? And so that's one thing that we really do a good job of at Fit Body Boot Camp across the nation. Like that's just one thing we're known for, is that level of accountability and coaching that we give to our members. So that's one thing that we do to build our culture that sets us apart from our competition.
I do love that. A long time ago, I used to work for John Jansen that owned, well, it was US Total Fitness, and then it became FitWorks. And I remember when they'd always seemed very community oriented, but then things were getting bigger and bigger and more gyms and more gyms. And I started feeling like people were, a sale and a number. And I really didn't like that. I didn't want that. And so when I left, and started my own, my thinking was, I don't want people to be just a number. I want them to feel cared about, and I want to change people's lives. And that is what the Sisterhood of Sweat is all about. It's a transformation, and you can't help someone transform if you don't know their why, if you don't know anything about them. And so I love that we're in alignment in our message somewhat. Now, what are some of the things besides reaching out to people that you do on a regular basis to help build your community? And what I mean by that is not just you knowing what they need, but it's about building that sense of camaraderie and community where people miss the other person when they're not there. They become friends, they bond.
Yeah, that's a great question. So some simple things that we do. We have a members only Facebook group where people are posting in there all the time. We have over 400 members in our group. We do celebrations when somebody hits their 25 session milestone, 50, 75, 100. We give out t-shirts when they hit 500. We have members that have hit over 1,000 sessions with us. We have a brag board where you can put your name if you've lost 10 pounds, 20 pounds, if you've hit like a milestone that you're really, really proud of that has nothing to do with weight loss. It's just like a beyond the scale milestone. We have that. We do community events once a month. So we just did like an axe throwing event. We had a member, yeah, I mean, just little things like that. We had a member appreciation party at a bowling alley a few weeks back where we recognized a client of the year. We did a few different special awards. So we do that once a year. Just little things to celebrate our members go a long way. We've had like nutrition workshops. We have a full-time coach who she leads a nutrition program. So she'll do a quarterly nutrition workshop and talk about a different topic every time. We'll have a strength and conditioning coach come in and do some like easy stretching for our members and workshop that a little bit. We've had yoga on a regular basis for our members after our Saturday sessions. It's just anything that we can do that is like just one step further outside of boot camp to bring our community together.
So good. And the axe throwing, I have to laugh. We all went axe throwing. And I think, well, it was shortly after I had an injury, and I was just terrible at it. I'm not used to being so bad. And so I said to my husband, we need to go. Let's go again. Because I want to get better at this. And well, anyway, long story short, I was standing too close.
Oh.
Because I am strong. And so the axe, to get it to flip just right, I had to move back. And my husband was freaking amazing. It made me even feel worse at first.
Yeah.
He hit bullseyes every time, every single time. He was a pitcher, and so he's just got that hand-eye coordination. But I was like, wow, if we ever get in trouble, I'm just gonna hand you an axe.
That's right.
But oh my gosh. But I would just say that is a good community builder. Things like that, they go a long way. Having a Christmas party where you invite everyone to dinner,
Right.
whatever you can do like that, it's amazing. Or the little things like we had a leaderboard during our challenge, and then we have a board up in the studio. When you hit your 150, you will get your special SOS Strong hoodie.
Yeah, I love.
And so I love comparing notes with you today, but also I think it wouldn't be worth my grain of salt today if I didn't ask you what kind of daily habits, routines um, do you set up in your business? And also, do you coach people around so they can have that consistency so they're successful?
Yeah. So with our business, like I said, I have a great team that runs the day to day in the studio now. So my job is primarily on the back end. I consider myself kind of like the peacekeeper. Like if there's ever any issues, I'm the one stepping in to make sure we're keeping the peace. We have great facility leaders across the board that they actually lead the team. They do the weekly meetings, but then I'm always just looped in to know what's going on. My husband and I do a lot of the marketing, and then of course I'm just doing some of the boring operation stuff. But some things that we do to keep our team on board is weekly emails to make sure like this is what's going on this week. Every Sunday, we send out an email. This is what's going on, anything new that they need to know. And then we workshop it in our meeting on Thursday if there's anything they need clarity on. Just making sure that we have standard reports that we're running every single Monday. And again, facility leaders are usually running those. So who's not showing up? What bills are not being paid, just those simple little things, reports have really gone a long way with us. Then once a week on our Thursday meetings, we do go over anybody new that's coming into the studio, anybody new that may have an injury or something special we need to know about that person, and discuss that with every single team member, again, to build that community and culture so that that member feels seen and heard from day one. So those are some things that we do in the studio. For me personally, how do I keep up with all of this? With two little ones, it's a work in progress. It is a freaking work in progress, and I'm trying to get better at it each day. I have a 4.5-year-old and almost 2-year-old. They both go to school during the day until 3:30, and 3:30 until 8:30, I am off the clock. I am full-time mom at that time. I'm fully present. I do not check emails. I do not respond to things unless it's an emergency or a fire. I actually stopped wearing my Apple Watch because I was so connected all the time that I would be playing Barbies with my daughter and thinking about the email that I needed to send based on a text I just received. That is how bad it was at one point. And my daughter, at a young age of 4.5, she's been medically diagnosed with ADHD. We go to behavioral therapy once a week, and having that medical diagnosis actually made my husband and I stop in our tracks and look at each other and say, we cannot be this connected to our work all the time if we are going to be present as parents. And so we work really hard together to separate ourselves from that, work mode and then parenthood mode in the evenings when the kids are here. But then during the day, 8:30 to 3:30, we're on. Like we are fully dedicated to our work as much as we can be. Of course, there's appointments and things here and there, but that's just life. But yeah, that's kind of like what I'm dealing with, is just trying to be present in the moment and just really focusing on like what's most important at that time.
Did your husband lead Fit Body boot camps?
He does not. No. So he is a physical therapist as well. He had that background, which has helped so much in my education because I didn't come from that background. I studied communications in college, but always had a passion for fitness.
Oh,
And
that's
so
a great degree for what you're doing.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's helped me along the way, just like learn more about the field, and anybody that has like an injury or something, he's been able to help so much more than I can because he has that education. So that has helped, but he's more behind the scenes. I'm more of the person that would coach. Yes.
So amazing. So you've had such a huge transition over all of this time, but that's what you
Yeah,
have to do as a business owner is you have to evolve. And
definitely.
do you miss teaching or do you take anyone's class?
So I personally attend boot camp at least 3 days a week. I try to bounce back and forth to two of the locations just to see our coaches and see our members. I love boot camp style because they're HIIT workouts. They're only 30 minutes. It's a different workout every single day. So that is my jam. That's what I love to do. But yeah, it's great. I do miss coaching sometimes. I always tell the coaches like, hey, if you ever need anybody to step in, just let me know. I'll look at my schedule and see if I can come in. But I do miss it sometimes. Yes.
Yeah, I would totally miss it if I didn't do it at
Yeah.
all. But I do understand the whole transition of working on your business, not in your business.
Yes.
And so I think it's really important to clarify that if you're working in your business and on your business, you're working all the time. So you kind of have to at some point choose.
Right.
This
That's
this is
exactly right.
this has been so good today. What is your favorite quote?
Oh gosh, my favorite quote. I think the one that is, if you fail to plan, plan to fail, because I have definitely been the person at times to just fly by the seat of my pants, and that doesn't work all the time. And yeah, just in my years of learning as a leader, you have to prepare. Yeah.
Totally, but you also do need to have the skill flying by the seat of your pants because
Oh,
that means that you don't sit in inaction, that you're taking
right.
messy action
Yes.
because you could sit in analysis paralysis forever, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
And what thought would you like to leave with the audience today?
Yeah. Um, I think just like I'm at a point in my life right now that I don't feel like there are a lot of people doing what I'm doing that I am surrounded like that I have in my backyard. I just did an episode on my podcast about this, and it's like finding your tribe and building your tribe if you can't find it. And so I think my message I'd like to leave our listeners with is like, if you have an idea or you have this like ambition inside you to do something great, like listen to that little voice and don't hold back, because it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. It doesn't matter if someone else is doing what you're doing. Like, you have unique talents and abilities that are deep down that only you know, and you need to use that voice and use that power to inspire and impact other people. And so I think like so many people are just so scared, and they're like, they have this, desire, this burning desire inside of them, but they don't know what to do with it. And they
Yeah.
feel like they're so alone, or they don't have anybody encouraging them to do it. And think sometimes you just go out on a limb and just do it. And so I think that's the message I'd like to leave our listeners with.
And I love that. And I remember when gyms were kind of getting all corporate and they were getting huge. I also own it's a women's fitness boutique, and getting corporate, like very big.
Yeah.
And I remember I was going to get a job like I'd always had, which was I was a group fitness coordinator for like years, like at least 25, maybe more and counting.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I got offered the job to coordinate at this other gym, and it would have been a lot of traffic. And I also worked my life around my family, making sure like work was here and family is the most important. And I remember thinking, well, I want to see how this other thing's going to go. And I just really started outside at the Voice of America Park. There was a hill, a humongous hill. I would hang my TRXs on the bridge over the lake. And that's how I got my start, was outside. And then it evolved. I went inside, I leased somebody's space, and then I started a small studio, then a bigger, then expanded again. And so your small idea I remember thinking, I'm going to turn down the job at this place, and because I want to see where this is going to lead. And so it was really just, I started so small with a few TRXs and then bought a ton. So I would just say the same thing and echo what you said, is not to discount your ideas because you never know where they could lead.
That is exactly right. And we definitely have similar experiences. So when we started out, we went into an old yoga studio. We barely had any money to renovate the space. My parents actually came in and painted the whole gym for us. And it's like an ongoing joke now because we've moved locations a few times. And my dad's like, I'm not helping paint. You're hiring painters. I'm like, okay, you don't have to help me. And so we had a TRX, we had a few dumbbells, some battle ropes, and that's it. And we had mirrors across the whole front of the room. And everybody loved that because they would just like watch themselves work out. And then when we did move, we didn't have mirrors anymore. So that was like a whole ordeal. But yeah, we started out so small. And as we grew, we added to it. And just looking back, my goal at the time was to get up and do something that I was excited about every day, that I could impact other people's lives. And it's just evolved into like this much bigger thing that I never would have imagined.
And it was so funny what you said about, well, it being so like being small in the mirrors.
Right.
Um, I remember in our first studio, it was $500 a month. That's it. That's
Wow.
all it was. It needed a lot of work, and I painted, my husband painted. I am not an artiste, and I was painting the doors hot pink with spray paint. I almost asphyxiated myself. And my friend came in that's an artist, and she's watching all this. She did paint on the walls for me. Like, I wanted to have motivational sayings and things up, and she is an artist. And I just remember, like, just she gave me mirrors from her bar. She's like, these were twerking mirrors where they had pole dancing or something. And I am like, I am just glad I took them to a glass shop. They cut them perfectly, and they're in the new studio because they're great mirrors.
Oh, that's great.
So I love hearing the backstory. And let me just say, my bathroom, oh my gosh, it left a lot to be desired in the first studio. Um, so you got a little chilly back there. The
Oh,
heat
that's
didn't go
funny.
back in them. And so it's just kind of cool to think about your small beginnings. And, if you wait, you may never do it, because to get where I am now would have felt insurmountable to me. But if you start small, you can build.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. And there's never going to be a perfect time to start a business or do anything really. It's, you could always think of a reason why it's not a good time.
Yeah. And the same with fitness, right? You could
Yeah.
always think of
Right.
what, I'll start tomorrow, but there's
I'll
no better
start on
time than
Monday.
today. As
Yep.
soon as you throw that out into the universe, and you ask God, you receive, and things start to happen once you make a decision. It's when you sit in an action that nothing happens,
That's
in
exactly right.
fitness, business, health, or in life.
Yeah. I love that.
So I really enjoyed having you on today. I wish
Thank-
you much continued success with your business. And I really enjoyed everything you had to say. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed it too.
And thanks everybody for listening to this episode of the Sisterhood of Sweat. Let us know what you resonated with, what you'd like to hear more of. And as always, keep on keeping on, everyone.